Putin wants nothing less than Ukraine's total subjugation.
U.S. President Joe Biden pledged to forcefully defend Ukraine against the invasion ordered by Russian President Vladimir Putin at the NATO summit in Washington on Tuesday, using the global stage to try to show allies at home and abroad that he can still lead.
Ukraine can and will stop Putin. Especially with our full collective support. They have our full support.
The 81-year-old welcomed the NATO member states in a strong and confident voice. That's as Biden's faced 12 days of concerns and questions over his fitness for office and his ability to win the U.S. presidential election in November after a halting performance at a debate late last month. There have been calls from donors and within his own party to step aside in the race against Republican Donald Trump, but Biden has stood defiant. In his speech on Tuesday, the U.S. president continued his push to restore traditional global alliances, in contrast to former President Trump's America First approach.
An overwhelming bipartisan majority of Americans understand that NATO makes us all safer. The fact that both Democratic and Republican parties are represented here today is a testament to that fact.
The U.S. election could have a major impact on the future of NATO, Europe and the rest of the world. Trump has challenged the need to defend fellow NATO members and questioned the amount of aid given to Ukraine. At a separate event in Washington, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky voiced his concern for the alliance, which his country is trying to join.
I hope that the United States will never go out from the NATO. Otherwise, the world will lose a lot of countries.
Zelensky said he couldn't predict what Trump would do if elected, but stayed diplomatic.
Biden and Trump are very different, but they are supportive democracy. And that's why I think Putin will hate both of them.
The centerpiece of the NATO gathering is said to be new commitments of military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Celebrating its 75th anniversary, the alliance has found new purpose in opposing Putin's Ukraine invasion, and the grinding war will likely dominate private talks between the summit's leaders. But the prospect of Trump's return is sure to weigh on their minds, and, according to diplomats from various countries, many had come with concerns about Biden's staying power.
Donations poured in on Tuesday to help rebuild the main children's hospital in Kyiv, as Ukraine observed a national day of mourning for the more than 40 people killed a day earlier in a major Russian missile assault which struck cities across the country. The Almaty Children's Hospital, one of the largest in Europe, was devastated during the attack. The UN Rights Head of Mission, Danielle Bell, had a team on the ground.
My team spent most of yesterday at the incident site, speaking with medical staff, parents of children, and residents that live in the area surrounding the hospital. Analysis of the video footage and assessment made at the incident site indicates a high likelihood that the children's hospital suffered a direct hit rather than receiving damages due to an intercepted weapon system.
The Ukrainian Security Service also said the hospital was directly hit, releasing photos on Tuesday of what it said were fragments of the Russian missile that struck it. Moscow denies this, saying the hospital was struck by Ukrainian anti-missile fire without providing evidence. Rescue efforts at the hospital ended early on Tuesday with 2 dead and dozens wounded. Flags flew at half-mast in Kyiv as the search concluded. And elsewhere in the capital, dashcam footage appears to show the moment a maternity clinic was hit during an attack on Monday, where at least 7 people were found dead. Rescuers also dug through the rubble of a partially destroyed residential building hit by another missile. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on messaging app Telegram that more than 100 buildings were damaged in the attack, and 400 people were involved in the rescue effort. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov repeated Moscow's insistence that it does not attack civilian targets in Ukraine. Bell said that the attack shows nowhere, including a children's hospital, is safe in Ukraine.
670 child patients, mainly inpatients, were there, together with more than 1,000 medical staff. At least 2 children were killed, including a female doctor, and at least 50 were injured, including 7 children. Staff had moved the children to a bunker yesterday morning when the air raid sirens first went off. Otherwise, the casualties would have been much higher.
Big Ukrainian businesses rushed to announce donations for the hospital. And while there was no available figure, as of Tuesday, Reuters calculations put the amount raised from Ukraine's corporations at about $7.3 million.
In relation to defence more generally, we will carry out our strategic review to look at the challenges, the capabilities, and on the back of that make further plans. I am committed to that 2.5% within our fiscal rules, but that strategic review needs to come first. But today, in tomorrow and the next day, is all about standing together with our allies, discussing practically how we provide further support for Ukraine and send a very, very clear message to Putin that we will stand against Russian aggression, wherever it is.
The United Nations peacekeeping mission in Democratic Republic of Congo will pause its withdrawal, the government and mission have said. The peacekeepers have been in Congo for 25 years to quell insecurity caused by armed groups fighting over territory and resources. But last year, President Felix Tshisekedi asked the mission to fast-track its withdrawal. The first phase in South Kivu province was completed on June 25th. Congo's ambassador to the United Nations, Zenon Mukongo Ngey, said on Monday. It had been scheduled for completion by April. But Ngey indicated that conditions had not yet been met for the next phase in North Kivu. He blamed neighbouring Rwanda for an escalation in clashes in the rest of East. Congo and the United Nations have long accused Rwanda of backing the M23 rebel group. Rwanda denies the allegations. Bintu Keita, head of the UN peacekeeping mission, said there was no timeline for a withdrawal from the North Kivu or Ituri provinces, saying, "We see what comes next based on the reality on the ground." Sudan's Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan received his first visit by a foreign leader on Tuesday since war broke out nearly 15 months ago. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has framed the visit as part of a push to bring stability to Sudan, where the army is fighting the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Abiy has previously been seen as closer to the RSF and hosted its leader Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo in Addis Ababa in December. He is also an ally of the United Arab Emirates, which the Sudanese army accuses of providing material support to the RSF. The UAE denies the allegations, but UN experts say they are credible. Sudan's war has forced almost 10 million people from their homes and created famine-like conditions in parts of the country. While the RSF has taken most of the capital Khartoum and the centre and west of Sudan, the army controls eastern and northern states, including Port Sudan, which has become its base. Talks hosted by Saudi Arabia and the United States in Jeddah aimed at brokering a ceasefire stalled last year, and attempts to bring the army back to the negotiating table have so far failed. A source close to the matter said Abiy had a better chance of achieving a breakthrough by being on the ground.
Microsoft has given up its board observer seat at OpenAI. The firm said it wasn't needed as the startup's governance had improved over the past 8 months. Microsoft took up the role last year when OpenAI CEO Sam Altman returned to the company after being pushed out. It allowed Microsoft to attend board meetings and access confidential information, but it gave the company no voting rights on matters including electing and choosing directors. Microsoft's involvement and its $10 billion investment in the ChatGPT developer had caused unease among antitrust watchdogs concerned about how much control it had over OpenAI. EU regulators said last month the partnership wouldn't be subjected to the bloc's merger rules as the tech giant didn't control OpenAI. But British and US authorities still have concerns about the relationship. However, the two companies are increasingly competing to sell AI technology to enterprise customers. They aim to generate revenue and show their independence to regulators. Microsoft also expanded its offerings and made a major hire to lead its consumer AI division. The moves are widely seen as an effort to diversify from OpenAI. Microsoft rival Apple also announced last month it would bring ChatGPT to its devices. The Financial Times reported it would not take Microsoft's observer role on OpenAI's board after being widely expected to do so.
The S&P 500 and NASDAQ continued their streaks of record-high closes on Tuesday, fueled by gains in NVIDIA, and after U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell told lawmakers that more good economic data would strengthen the case for rate cuts. The Dow dipped more than 0.1%, the S&P 500 edged up for its fifth straight record close, and the NASDAQ pushed higher for its sixth straight. In testimony before Congress, Powell said that while inflation remains above the 2% soft landing target, it has been improving in recent months, and more good data would strengthen the case for interest rate cuts. Sam Stovall is chief investment strategist at CFRA Research.
He didn't say in July, he didn't say September or December, but in response, the CME Fed Watch tool now shows a 73% likelihood of a rate cut in September.
Those bets were at under 50% a month ago. Inflation data is also due this week, including Thursday's Consumer Price Index and the Producer Price Index reading on Friday. AI chipmaker NVIDIA again powered the gains, climbing 2.5% and offsetting declines in other chip stocks. Microsoft dipped 1.4%, while Tesla added 3.7%, bringing its gain in 2024 to 5%. Shares of JP Morgan and Wells Fargo climbed over 1%, and Citi rose 2.8%. The three banks will release quarterly results on Friday, marking the start of second quarter earnings season.
Shein is trying to win friends ahead of a possible share sale. The fast fashion giant has pledged to invest in the UK and Europe. It's promising to put in about $271 million over 5 years. The move comes as Shein runs into opposition ahead of a possible share listing in London. It's faced criticism over labour standards in its supply chain. European politicians also accuse it of killing local firms by flooding the market with clothes at rock-bottom prices. Some say it's exploiting a tax exemption for low-cost parcels, a loophole the EU is now thinking about closing. The China-founded firm was valued at $66 billion in a fundraising round last year. It already sources some clothes in Turkey, but gets the vast majority from China. Speaking to Reuters, Chairman Donald Tang wouldn't say where in Europe it might now start sourcing goods. The firm said it would bring more European artists and designers into its incubator program as part of the new investment. Reuters sources say Shein filed papers last month for a potential London share sale later in the year. However, the Financial Times has since reported that the firm is keeping alive the possibility of a Hong Kong listing too.
Despite fan rumors, the relationship between Matt Damon and Jennifer Lopez are a lot different than what it seems. Many fans think Jennifer Lopez has a great life. She's famous for her music and movies, and she's back together with Ben Affleck years after, which surprised a lot of people. But Lopez has drama in her life, like a rule about no female flight attendants for Affleck. There's also talk that she doesn't get along with Affleck's friend, Matt Damon. For years, gossip magazines have been obsessed with Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. One example of that is the fact that the website Marca published an article that stated Damon can't stand how Lopez treats Affleck. Marca's article also said Damon thought Lopez made Affleck into a brainwashed robot, and that Damon couldn't help but criticize Lopez anymore. There have been many reports suggesting Damon and Lopez don't get along. Some rumors even suggest someone else has caused tension between Affleck's wife and best friend. According to a report from March 2024, Matt Damon's wife and Jennifer Lopez don't like each other. The report says Lopez was jealous of the relationship Damon's wife, Luciana Barroso, had with Affleck. Report also says Damon and Affleck wanted to go on vacation with their wives, but Lopez and Barroso's tension stopped it. It's hard to tell if Jennifer Lopez and Matt Damon get along, but there's evidence suggesting they're actually okay despite rumors about them fighting. In April 2024, Damon supported Lopez by attending an event where she got a special award. This is significant because Damon is usually very busy. His presence shows he values Lopez's achievement. Damon and Lopez also have been seen together without Affleck. In April 2024, they were photographed having lunch together. Damon's wife, Luciana Barroso, was also there, suggesting reports of tension between her and Lopez are likely wrong. Damon publicly supported Affleck and Lopez when their relationship rumors started. It's a fascinating story. I hope it's true. I love them both. That would be awesome. While rumors suggest otherwise, it looks like Jennifer Lopez and Matt Damon are actually get along fine and supporting each other for their loved one.
Today, I'm announcing the historic donation of air defense equipment for Ukraine. The United States, Germany, and Italy will provide Ukraine with the equipment for 5 additional strategic air defense systems. And in the coming months, the United States and our partners intend to provide Ukraine with dozens of additional tactical air defense systems.
Cinq, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage 2 ESR, décollage. Trajectoire nominale. Top, I0 moins 1.
छोटे भाई इस तरफ आ जाओ तो आप ये काइंडली इसमें मेंशन करें बार बाजार
हैं 12 दिन के बाज़ार होता है तो यही हम अपने बीवी बच्चों के लिए जो भी अपनी फैमिली के लिए यहीं से कमाते थे और यहीं से ताज़ा जो भी कमाते थे वो खाते थे। ये कुछ 6-7 बार हो गई ये आग लग रही है, मतलब बार बार एक तरफ, मतलब आज तक ये आइडेंटिफाई नहीं हो सका इंतज़ामिया से कि आग क्यों लगती है। और इसके बारे में यही है कि आग लगाई जाती है और ज़्यादातर ये बुध वाले दिन जहाँ पे यहाँ पे इंतज़ामिया होती है और इंतज़ामिया के अंडर होती है क्योंकि उस दिन बाज़ार वाले भी यहाँ पे नहीं आ सकते।